man reborn, and salute to the real ones. And welcome to another episode of Soulview, where I interview like-minded people like myself to get their perspective on their journey. And today I got a very, very special guest with me, man. NRG Daymoon is in the building, y'all. You know
Hello.
what I'm saying?
Oh.
Welcome to the Dragon's Lair, Daymoon. Peace.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. That's
Oh, it's
actually the name of my label, Dragon's Lair Entertainment.
really, that's dope.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that. So
You
let
did?
me I didn't even know that. That's crazy. So let me tell you this. You know, how we first interacted is, you know, when I posted my video on MF's channel, you know what I'm saying? You made a comment on there, and the comment that you made was awesome because it was like you was still showing love to me, but you stood on what you felt about the video, and it wasn't in a disrespectful way. And I love that because to me, that shows source confidence. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to always agree with everything that everyone is saying.
Right.
And the way you went about it, it was all love. You know what I'm saying? And from then we started to build a relationship, started communicating, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that from you. So I just wanted to let you know that off the rip.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that too. I don't know how a lot of people view my energy. I think sometimes they see my energy as disingenuous. And I'm gonna say that because I go to a lot of different channels because I'm seeking a lot of different knowledge, and I always try to give positive reinforcement to what people do. Like, even if I think it's something negative about it, I don't feel like it's a need to say it because I almost always take something positive from it. And I think it's important that we respect everybody on this journey. But the thing about it, which I think they think is disingenuous, is if I see that you starting to like kind of waver, I fall back. I don't come and be like, you need to do this and you need to do that, because we're on our own journeys, but I might fall back. So they'd be like, well, are you a stan, or, you know, are you one of my loyal ones? And I think they need to understand that loyalty doesn't mean that I have to agree with everything you say or go about it the way you go.
That's dope. That's dope. Well, let's go into it, because you mentioned in this journey, how did Daymoon start her journey? What did that look like?
Oh man, it's ugly. It's super ugly, as Jay-Z would say. Super, super ugly.
Super ugly.
And you know, it's been a really long journey. I'm still on the journey. I think though I have gotten to a confidence level where I feel confident being like, yo, if I'm not a master teacher, I'm well on my way. Because regardless of what people see on the internet, because you might come to my page and say she does 2-minute videos, she don't list sources, and she doesn't really contribute much to the conversation because they don't know me. Because I actually do the work in real life. When it's funny, when I came on the internet, I actually wanted to have one of these big pages that blew up and was like, oh, I'm gonna be a tarot reader to the superstars. But it really started, I think my journey started when I was around 14, and I had to do a paper on the Salem witchcraft trials. And it was intriguing because depending on what book you read, these girls were really possessed. But then you could go read another book and they were eating poisoned bread that was making them hallucinate. And there was a bunch of hysteria. So I really wanted to get into that further. That led me into being a really devout Christian. And when I mean I was a Bible thumper, I became an ordained minister. My godparents were Christians. It was something that I wasn't getting though. I was still dealing with depression. I was dealing with death. I was dealing with, you know what I'm saying, from growing up in the hood, losing friends all the time, struggling with, you know, demons that had followed me. I hate to even use that as a lack of a better term. I was dealing with my own demon. Let me put it like that, which is really me, inside of me, things I hadn't dealt with from childhood, you know, whether it comes from being sexually abused, which that happens in our neighborhoods a lot. You know, I was actually violated by a female cousin of mine. This is the first time I actually ever revealing this publicly. But I think it could help people because with that, I carried that with me. I carried, you know, my friends dying at an unprecedented rate because I grew up in the hood. I remember when I was like 15 years old, I told my mom that it was not fair. I was jealous of white people. She said, why? Because they got more money? You know, because we're like middle class or whatever. I'm like, no, because their friends don't die. Yo, how sad is that for a 14 or 15-year-old to be like, yo, I'm jealous of them because their friends don't die. You know what I mean? Because I really didn't have an understanding. So when I was going through all these death and transformation processes, you know, you lose a friend, you start to question your own mortality before you start living. You get molested, you start to think about sexuality in a way that you shouldn't be before your mind's ready to process it. You look into what, like all these things were happening. Now, also on a side note, I actually had this gift that has been passed down from generation to generation. So at 8 years old, I used to be able to astral project. I still do. I didn't know what it was then. You know what I'm saying? I thought that I was, I don't know what I thought, because even at 8 years old, you don't think that you're hallucinating or anything like that. But I would hear voices, I would see things. And I actually, at around 14 or 15, I thought that I was crazy. I was like, Mom, I need to go talk to somebody because all these different things are happening. Now, when you go take your child to a therapist, they don't go, are you a clairvoyant?
Right.
You know what I mean? They automatically are going to put you on some type of drug or something to try to correct what they think is a psychosis going on in your mind. And that's why I always tell people, be careful with your children, because you might have a gifted child that you're taking to go and kill their gift with medications and things like that. You know what I mean? The pharmaceutical sorcery is what we call it.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful. And that's deep. So with you having these situations occur in your life, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
With you being tapped in at such a young age as well, you know, going through these traumatic situations, you know, carrying all of that with you, how has that been challenging, or what has been the most challenging for your journey? With that being said,
Honestly, I think the most challenging part about this process is how many L's it appears that you take. You see what I'm
say that again. Say that
how
again.
many L's that it appears that you're taking? Because you got to understand, is what I always tell my clients, is that it's only until you go through these situations and you're able to look back on them retrospectively, which is funny because everything that we learn is through our perceived vision and what we hear. So you can go back and you can look on it and you can be like, damn, I did it like this. And I didn't realize at the time that this is why I needed to go through it. But now this is where I am. So now that I've gone through all these different hellish states, which is what I always tell my tarot clients, every fucking thing that they come to me and tell me about, I've probably been through it already, if not worse. I'm not here to complain about it. I actually have a really positive attitude. It took me a long time to get there. See, we all have to go through transformation under pressure. That's why women give birth and we're rolling around and we're heaving and we having contractions. And it's this whole energy that is moving to birth something. It is a hellish process. I always tell them I went through a bunch of hellish states so that you don't have to. You know, and maybe I could prevent them, or at least kind of help guide them through these hellish states to see if they're going to either shatter into a billion pieces or become a diamond. Everybody's not becoming a diamond. I think another thing that was hard about this process, because as you should be continuously evolving in your spirituality. Thanks. You should never remain stagnated. So I'm always looking into different types of religions, philosophies, and spirituality. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. So you lose a lot of friends who be like, oh, you into that now? You into that now? You worship the devil now? You doing this? You lighting candles? You know what I mean? It puts them uneasy. So I've lost a lot of people on the way. So I've also learned that this is a lonely journey. And I will always deal with the master teachers. I used to actually talk to Dr. Phil Valentine on the phone. Like, when I tell you that man is what he says he is, I would not lie to you. He's what he says he is. He is so powerful. He did a working for me over the phone one time. He didn't even have to. He was just like, yo, I'm doing this right now. And I swear that propelled me to another level. You know, shout out to Baba, Dr. Phil.
Shout out.
They say that when you get where you're supposed to be, you're going to attract people who are actually in your soul group. It's such a long journey till you get there. Sometimes you might be on a level where you never attract nobody else because there's nobody in your level. See, that's what we don't understand. We all think that we all on the same level. And it's like, nah, you are not me. You might have been a reflection of me at one point in time, but we're all in different stages of this journey. So you might end up being lonely. You might not never have no friends because they always are going to be trying to knock you off your square or disrupt the energy flow, because we are in a current. A lot of people don't understand the way I talk. Like when I be like, yo, we're not breathing air, we're breathing water. People look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, yo, we swim in a current of energy. And what they got to understand is when you boil a pot of water, that water evaporates into the air. It turns into air. So if everything in this so-called matrix was then condensed back down, we would be swimming in water. That's all these are chakras. That's why it's don't dive deep in your emotional energy. How can you swim in a current if you're not swimming through nothing?
Golly, yeah, that's powerful, man.
So
let me ask you this, because that's you dropping some powerful information, and like you said, it is a lonely journey, and that's something that comes up a lot of times with these soul views, and it's from my understanding as well that it is really a lonely journey, and just to understand that and just to deal with that is hard enough, and that's a challenge in itself. You understand? But what has been rewarding to you? You know what I'm saying? Like what keeps you motivated? What keeps you moving forward?
Oh man, the thing that is most rewarding to me is actually knowing that when I'm actually tapping into source, which a lot of people have a misunderstood, and if you study religion and everything else, you will realize that source is nothing like what people think it is. It's every cell inside your body. And I always try to explain this to them. I'll be like, you have 1 million cells in your body that makes your body work. Probably 1 billion in your arm that makes you hold the phone up to your ear. But you don't know them all by name. If one was praying to you right now, like, yo, I'm about to die, and if we die, your pinky's going to fall off, you're not going to hear it, but it's there. And you need it to live, and it needs you to live. You know what I mean? People don't understand how this works. Source is somewhat the same way. We're a bunch of cells inside of a celestial body. Just like we have a bunch of cells inside of our body. Do you know each one by name? No, you do not. Do you talk to your organs every day? No. They just function and do what they need to do to make you become alive. That's why I always tell people, like, yo, God didn't create us, we created source. But again, I think the most beautiful thing is knowing that we can tap into that energy, that it is actually real. It's just not what people tell you it is. It's a vibration. It don't got a name. It's an energy. It's a vibration. It's not something that you can actually call out in this language, which we was just talking about this earlier. It's not even English. It's actually High German that we speak in. See, a lot of people don't understand. That's the spell. That's the spell. They tell you you speak English. You speak in High German. The words don't even mean what they mean. You're under a spell. Everything you say, everything you do is literally magic.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. So when you say that, right, when you talk about the language and the spells that we're using, how can one understand that concept? You know what I'm saying? Break that down a little bit more, because that's
I think the most basic thing that people need to understand is that this this matrix, whatever you want to call it, dimension, whatever you want to call it, is actually made in love. It really is. But what you got to understand is that we're in a reverse matrix. So when you write out love, spell it backwards, it spells evil. When you spell live backwards, it spells live. Because they got to understand, no matter what religion, you can go to the Yorubas or anybody, when they say who created this world and where are we in the prison planet, we're cut off from the rest of the universe. A lot of people here can't access their gifts. They can't access their clairs. And this is all done by design. So what they got to understand is that literally a lot of things that they teach us or tell us to do is backwards. You know what I mean? And so this matrix is made out of deception. That means that is more than one God. You can't even tell people that without them getting upset. You can't but when you think about it, you got to remember, as above, so below. So let's just start like this. If your mom was the God and she was the first one, she created you. Boom, second God. Let's say you're the angel, okay? And then you have kids. What are your kids? These are all creations. People don't get this is one source, multiple attributes. So they got to understand that at some point, and that's when we talk about the divas, and we talk about, the divas, the old ones, and the new demigods, or whatever you talk about. We're talking about the same types of things. So what they got to understand is that there are energy sources who are indeed here to usurp your energy. Now, do I call them good and evil? No, because that's human thinking. And when it comes to magic and sorcery, you can't think like a human. And I think that's why it's perceived as evil. Does that mean you go out and kill a baby? Hell the fuck nah. If that's what that means to you, then you just fucking need mental help immediately.
Facts. That's so facts. That's so facts.
So, like, let's just give an example. Somebody hit me up the other day and was like, yo, I want to do da-da-da-da-da. Do I need to sacrifice a chicken? So I was like, yo, that's funny as shit. I was like, if you want to go sacrifice a chicken, go ahead. Like, first of all, I'm not here to tell you what's right and wrong, but on some real shit, you sacrifice a chicken every time your ass go to KFC. The way that we look at it, because honestly, my father is Blackfoot Indian. And when our ancestors sacrificed a chicken, we use every part of that body, every part, including the bones. You know what I mean? We would make necklaces out of it. We're going to thank the animal for sacrificing his life to give us substances. What people don't understand is that this whole world is actually vampiric and is fucking flawed by design. And that means that the creator who created it is flawed. Because in a perfect utopia, I don't need to kill or eat shit to survive. Because what they don't understand is that everything in this matrix is alive, including the piece of paper you write on, the flower that you think is not alive for all you vegans and vegetarians. These are all life sources. And you think just because you're eating, vegetables and this and that instead of meat, that you're not getting bad downloads and this and that. Nonsense. Nonsense. Because you could be eating a grape that's not even a grape because it's been genetically modified. It has no seeds. You can't reproduce it. Even if it has seeds, you still have to grow it to be sure that it's a grape, because some fruits produce fake seeds now. They're not even real fruits. How do you know it's a grape if it doesn't have seeds? How is it a watermelon if it doesn't have seeds? It's genetically modified, just like you and I. We're the real artificial intelligence. We're the real artificial intelligence, bro.
Wow. That's
people. We're trying to think RoboCop is. We're trying to think RoboCop is artificial intelligence, or the computer is. Nah, bro. We are. See, people don't understand that. They tell you what something is and we believe it. We grab onto it and we hold onto it. Nigga, that wasn't a chair until somebody told you it was a chair. If I would have raised you and said, this is a spaceship, you would have grown up going, this is a spaceship, and you would believe it. Shit, you might be able to fly in it. Because our imagination is way more powerful. Our subconscious is way more powerful.
Facts. That's super facts right there.
Yeah.
Dang. Man, that, you know what? And what I love about you and your passion and the way that you express yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can definitely tell that you tapped in. You tapped into something that is real. You know what I'm saying? Something that means something to you. You believe in the things that you're saying. So with that belief comes these breakthroughs, these transformational times, these aha moments, the clicks, like I like to call it. You know what I'm saying? How have you dealt with some of those, just managing those breakthroughs? How do you deal with that? Because where you're at, your level of thinking is not normal. You know what I'm saying? So how do you manage that?
Sometimes it bothers me. Like, one of the biggest struggles I'm dealing with right now is a download I received from Source, essentially telling me to stop putting so much stock into astrology. And I was like, what you mean? Astrology is my life, son. I go to Good Days Calendar every day, but not just Good Days Calendar, but I got my favorite astrologist, Stormy Grace, Deanna Outen, and Get My Natal. And it was like this. It was like, yo, we've been here for over 9.8 billion years. There's octaves here that we don't even know we tapped into. You can give her another banana. I'm sorry, I was talking to my daughter and my husband.
Are you good?
I was like, it said there's octaves, which when I mean octaves, I mean planets out there that we receive source energy from that we don't even know exist. Just like they just talking about the thru, which niggas think they know something because they be like, oh, well, you know, Kim didn't know about it yet, but you didn't know what it was until somebody told you that's in the thru. But my point is saying that is Source was letting me know when it comes down to this is all a matrix. So you can't say this is a matrix and everything is in it fake, but the planets that you're looking up at ain't. You're still giving power to something outside of yourself to dictate it. And Source really wants me to really be like, you know, all the planetary alignments are really inside of you. But all that shit that you're looking outside of you to kind of gain strength. You know, some days I might not do nothing if I got lightning bolt in the way, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? A limit or a restriction that I put on myself because I want to say a part of this is real, but this part ain't. But this part is, but this part ain't. That's what a lot of people like to do. That's what I know it's like in the conscious community. I don't even deal with a lot of people because they'll be like, I touched base with my African roots, but they do. They say, but then they go, but, you know, I still believe in God and da-da-da-da-da. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that already shows that you're placing a limitation and a restriction on yourself, that you're really not in touch because you got to justify it with that but. It's never a but. It's kind of like you believe that they're right. Yeah, they did trick us, but it's a lot in that Bible that's true. I can't let go because I don't want to go to hell. When in all reality, you are Satan. You know what I mean? That's why your number is 666, 6 carbons, 6 protons, 6 electrons equals the atom, the atom, the Amun Ra, the Amun.
Wow.
That
So
we're just afraid of ourselves. Let me put it like that.
Man, that's deep. That's deep. So let me ask you this, because what you're saying is powerful information. You know what I'm saying? And if I was one who was listening, right? And I'm like, man, she's really going in. She is talking like she believes in what she says and that she sees something outside of the normal way of thinking of society. Okay. So if I'm that person and I want to know more about Daymoon and the way that she thinks and how she got to be where she's at, what advice would you give me?
I would, you know, the whole thing is I would just learn as much as I can in the way which is best for you to learn. That don't necessarily mean reading books. You know what I mean? It's a difficult process to gauge. I think you should always get as much information as you can. I personally prefer more of the older teachers than the so-called new teachers. But then on top of that, you have to actually be able to ask the question you want to know, meditate, and wait to get the answer from source. See, a lot of people don't really know how to decipher when they're getting real information because you think that every bit of information you're going to get is going to be from a book. And this is what I call Sophia energy. There's a knowing energy too. So you can meet two people and they could be like, yo, I read this grimoire and this is how you do this spell. And you can meet somebody who's been like, I never read a grimoire, but this is how you do the spell. And the person who never read the book actually gives you better information than the person that read the book. And you say, well, how is that possible? And that's possible because what we seem to forget is that these books are written by somebody. So that's just their personal way of doing it. It's a trial by error process. The motherfucker who made a cookie didn't know it was a cookie until it was done because they took some flour and they took, you know what I mean, some baking powder, and then they put some butter and they made a dough. They probably made a sugar cookie first. And then it evolved into a chocolate chip cookie. And then they wrote a recipe and they put it in a book and they gave it to you. And it was good. Like we just wrote a whole Bible. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And I know the way that I talk is weird and I hope people are kind of getting what I'm saying. So for example, you might, you know, suffer from heartburn while Prilosec works for this person, you know what I mean? Pepto-Bismol is going to work for them, but this person just chews on a certain leaf that they found and that leaf gives them relief, and they don't know what the name of it is. They just go up to somebody else and says, this is a leaf that you could chew that'll give you relief. This is how all of this started. We seem to have forgotten to get back, how to get back to the basics. Everything that somebody gives you is got to be taught to you by somebody else. I don't see no originality when it comes to spirituality. Wow. Personally, not much. Let me put it like that. I see, you know, the greats, we don't even have to name them because we all know who they are. And honestly, it could be somebody who you never heard of. I see people who literally got 10 subscribers. One of the best readers that I met online, she don't even do reads. She actually found my page. Shout out to Goddess Supreme. She found my page and left me a message. Was like, yo, you're my sister. And I was like, what? She was like, email me. You know what I mean? And I emailed her and it's been on and popping ever since, simply because, like you say, when you start talking to somebody and they got knowledge, they got it. Actually, I was like, yo, why don't you do reads and get your page popping. And she was like, yo, that's not my job. My job is to find individuals like you and further activate you. Now, isn't that something? That's when you know the real ones. When you think about it and they talk about this Illuminati and this and that, you never see them. You never really see who they actually are. They claim it's the 5% and the Bilderbergers, but it's even somebody behind them. You know why? Because people who are in real power don't need no fucking credibility. They don't want you to know who they are. You will never see them. You will never see them. Wow. The people who don't got real power, but they ego driven, they want you to see them all the time, but they want to pretend like they're not in it for the ego. But then they tell you to kill your fucking ego, which I hate. I cringe when people say that shit. I cringe. I swear to God, because you know what people don't understand is, first of all, every concept that we get from ego about ego were literally written by what we call psychologists or voodoo, because that's all voodoo is the study of the mind, the study of psychology. How do you trick somebody into believing that they got more power of you, that you have to mess with their psychology? Okay. Now, the point in me saying that is, damn, I lost my thought, and it's really important. What was I just saying?
No, that was good. You saying how some people don't, they want to kill the ego. Okay. They want to try to kill the ego, but that's not possible.
If you start actually going back with ego is something that you're supposed to work with. How do you kill a part of you that's actually meant to save you? The problem with you niggas and women, and don't matter what it is, I don't even want to say you niggas. The problem with most people is that they let the ego take over, which is not what it's supposed to do. But you don't never kill no part of you, because you need all of it to be the best of who you are. You know what I'm saying? And the ego is really there to protect you. Your ego, and that's why some people can't understand it. It comes up to protect you, but then they allow it to take over to a part where it becomes toxic and unhealthy. But your ego is actually what activates depression. And depression is what actually saves your life. If you look at what depression is actually meant to do, is meant to save your life. And that's why some people stop eating and things like that. It's your body actually activating chemicals. Now, it doesn't feel good. You're supposed to get out of that depression at a certain point in time. But some people, unfortunately, dive too deep in those waters and they end up getting lost in the current, swept under the current, or, in fact, drowned in the current.
Wow. Dang, that's a great breakdown. That's a wonderful breakdown. And you said something that was so interesting, because you're talking about spirituality. And my thing is, one of my biggest questions is, how do we balance this thing, Day? Because, you know, we understand that we're light beings, and we understand that this is a spiritual experience, right? But we're here in this physical matrix, like you said, or this physical realm. How do we balance the spiritual and the physical successfully? You know what I'm saying? How do we do that? Or what are your tips on doing that?
In the words of Brother Planet, you just don't give a fuck. And it's so funny because I've been listening to him for literally 15 years. And that's why, to me, when I listen to people now who are on these channels and they're like, yo, I watch this brother. Yo, I've been watching Brother Panic since that nigga was taking a bus. Just to give you a clue. Look how big he is now. He ain't taking no buses no more. I used to listen to him when he used to take the bus. There was even a point where I stopped listening to him, and then I came back to him. You know what I mean? Because you're constantly evolving. You're constantly going through different phases. And it's so funny, but it's hard to stay balanced when you trying to worry about Black Lives Matter, when that's some whole fake shit. And I'm not even talking about the fact that it's about Antifa. You worried about people getting killed because there's no real such thing as death. And I'm not saying these ain't important things. See, that's the balance that people struggle with. Well, how do you mean it's not important? People getting killed by the cops every day. Like, what kind of person does that make you? I'm not a person. I'm a God. I can't be concerned with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Well, you get your day. One day it's going to be you, and I'm not going to go right for you. Well, then fucking don't. Moving on. You know what I'm saying? You really gotta be, and that was hard for me to get to that point, because how do you stay balanced on the inside? If I walk past somebody who's hungry, am I gonna stop and be like, well, what color are you first? Because your motherfucking ancestors did it. Nah, because then you're stuck in a time continuum, and you can't be a part of none of that shit if you're after real spirituality, because it's all a distraction, as painful as that is. Everything is a fucking distraction. I hate saying that, but it's true. You have to be very careful when it comes to family, your children, your mama, your brother, your best friend, your associates, all that shit outside of you. I'm a mom because I choose to be a mom. See, that's why people get caught up. How can people hurt kids and all this? And I'm not saying it's good or bad or none of that shit. But why the fuck is you worried about it? You have to just worry about what's right there in the world that you're creating. If you can help save somebody, then that's great. But I see empaths every day who get turned into evil empaths. That's worse than a fucking devil because they don't know how to control their emotions. So it starts off that you're an empath, and every time you walk into a room, you feel everybody's emotions. You feel all this depression. You think it's your own. You start dealing with a lot of narcissists because empaths attract narcissists naturally because they're your opposite. You get in relationships, you try to save them, you try to save the world, and you become that dark ass lady from the X-Men who be walking around with those black ass eyes just destroying the whole world. You have to stay balanced by being happy on the inside. I think I talked about this in a bunch of short clips and a lot of people don't get what I'm saying. You see, I say that because a lot of people are trying to manifest in this energy right now. This is great manifestation energy, even though we're experiencing a lot of loss. Loss is nothing but death. Death is nothing but a door to transformation. That's all that is. How you choose to go through that door is up to you. And it's crazy because if you tap in, if you want to, you know, people are like, well, I can't align. And I'm like, well, you can align, but the problem is you can't hold the resonation. You can't just align with a vibration for an hour and think that you're now about to get abundance. It don't work like that. You have to stay balanced. And that's the hard part about people is staying balanced because they have a lot of cognitive dissonance. See, when it comes to people, especially people of color, because of the trauma that we've been through, we have to work through this shit on a psychologist level. Like, you know what I mean? I've talked to my ancestors, not only just the ones that's here, but my Atlantean ancestors, my Lemurian ancestors, and my Draco ancestors. They're not concerned about shit that goes on Earth. They're not concerned about this shit. Anybody who tells you that shit is a motherfucking lie. And I will tell them, why are they concerned about human things? Like if I died, God forbid, if my kids was on drugs or something, they just children, but God forbid, say a parent who dies and their kid is addicted to drugs, that parent is now in a whole nother universe where they're not worried about none of that shit. They're not looking at you like, damn, I can't believe you down there smoking crack. When they got to understand that sometimes source comes here just to smoke crack. They got to rationalize everything in their mind. Like, oh no, source wouldn't do that because that's not good. Well, who told you source was good? Because that's a human word and you're using anthropomizing. You're giving something attributes that it don't got. You're giving it human attributes. That's what makes you a human. You're talking about a totally different energy. It don't experience good and evil and happy and sad. And that's why it gets distorted and looked at as evil. It's just pure chaos energy. That you can tap into and you use it for your benefit. It's through us that gives source humanity, not reverse.
Wow.
So you got to stay balanced on the inside. And that shit don't got nothing to do with no book. It don't got nothing to do with what you eat in. Because honestly, when you are happy, truly happy, you happy with your family, you're happy with your job, you're happy with the fruit that you produce, you're happy inside, you automatically start to be happy every day. You're going to automatically start aligning. When you align with a certain vibration, abundance reigns on you. I don't know if it makes sense the way that I just explained it. You notice that when you
that makes perfect sense.
When you're depressed, you start calling energy. You actually can call it to you. See, people think that, let's just say for a better term, angels and demons, which that's really the same fucking thing. Okay. Matter of fact, angels is almost worse than demons because an angel is a soldier. It's there to carry out an action. If you look at the actual, and we're just talking about energies, we talking about positives and neutrons. We talking about light angels / angels that hit you with, you know, certain thoughts. Because people think that all thoughts are their own, and they're not. They're not. We just choose to resonate with them or we don't. So when we deal with all these different energies and we don't have a proper understanding of, that's why I call myself NRG Daymoon. And a lot of people don't understand that a demon now is not what a demon was in antiquity. You actually needed your guardian demon as much as you needed your guardian angel. And when you send an email and it says failure sent to Daymoon, okay, which is actually your inner genius, which a lot of people are afraid of demons, Daymoons. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But you have to remember that what people think, it has nothing to do with you. You have to remember that we can't control what people think or what they do to us. We can only control what we do and how we react to it. And that's how you start to walk on water.
Mm.
Um, the sad part about this process is that a lot of people go through it. Many will not succeed. This is mystery school. This is my school. You got your school.
Mm.
We all gonna go through it. Not everybody's gonna graduate.
Mm.
I get
Wow.
a lot of air, so
That's
sometimes it seems like I'm
that's
gambling,
power.
or I go on and I apologize. That's because I get hit with so many angles. I start to get so many downloads at once. I start to talk fast and try to get it all out because I don't want to forget it.
No, it's wonderful, and you breaking down a lot of powerful and great information. You know what I'm saying? And I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this: we're in this physical realm, okay? We're dealing with spirituality. We're dealing with this physical
Right.
world, right? And we're talking about balancing these
So I
energies
say,
and balancing the spiritual and physical. So let me ask you this, Day, because we are here in the physical, so that means we're dealing with emotions, right? What are some good tips, or what are some things that people can do to have an outlet, to create an outlet for that emotion? I know for me and you, we like to do videos, we like to do music. You know what I'm saying? Speak on that, because you know what I'm saying, you do music and you do a form of hypnosis, which I love. You know what I'm saying? My flow is lit, esoteric heroin. You feel me? That's what you say. Bars. You know what I'm saying? So give a breakdown of how you use your outlets and what are some good outlets people can actually
so
utilize.
this is gonna be some crazy stuff real quick. First of all, the interesting thing about it, I told you this whole reality is a deception. So this reality is not actual reality. So researchers are finding, and actually in ancient spirituality, it was taught that when you sleep, that's the real reality. When you're awake, you're actually asleep, and we think this is reality. I'm not talking
Mm,
about no matrix shit. I'm talking about when you go to bed at night and you sleep. They average that. The average human, if you live about 67 years or something like that, you're actually only alive 7 years because that's the hours that you sleep. And so that's just one thing, because this is how far this shit goes. But when it comes to emotions, the best way, and this is where people make a lot of mistakes when I say don't go to all these different gurus and try to figure out what's best for you. That's why I was mad when Source was like, stop putting so much stock into astrology, because really, astrology is like my Achilles heel. But know thyself. So when people say know thyself, they go, what do you mean? And I even mentioned this in my song. I'm a Taurus sun, I'm a Libra rising, and I'm a Gemini moon. And so what that means is that I best communicate, and I can be attacked, and I can grow through air. Gemini, that's the air principality. So
mm,
that's through what I hear and what I put out through my eyes, because I'm a Libra note. So I mean all that to say is that when you have to figure out who you are, because your sun is your ego. Your rising is who you are, and your moon is how you react to things. A lot of people don't even know the basis
mm,
of that breakdown. It's your rising is who you are. Your sun is just how you want people to see you, but that's not how you are. That's your ego. And your moon is how you react to stuff. So you have to analyze
mm,
that and analyze what principalities, like, are you cardinal fire? Are you cardinal water? Are you cardinal air? Because this is the way that you are going to be able to best control your emotions. If you're somebody who deals with perception, I'm going to use a Leo, for example. I'm going to use Leos, for example. Leos, they judge and pick their friends based upon how people treat them, how they feel, like what they see. So they can see you talking to somebody and you could look at them a certain way and they think that look is funny. So they're gonna think like you over there talking about them, because they think you looking at them funny, like, yo, why he got that sly grin on his face? You know, when somebody being grimy, hands rubbed.
mm-hmm,
And so the whole thing is, now that you know that about yourself, because the problem with that is that's not only your power, but that's how you're attacked. So you perceive me as making this grimy smile, but it was really just something in my tooth. And I was adjusting it to
mm,
get the kernel of popcorn out my tooth. But now you got a whole problem with me, you and your emotions. So you have to realize that if you're bothered by things that affect you by the way you see. You got to be careful about how you perceiving it. How are you perceiving it? Because what we got to understand is we think that we're looking at shit just directly, but it actually our eyes, when we hit it, it goes in backwards and it projects out to us in a different way. So everything you're looking at is upside down. If you actually go look at the mechanics of how it looks, you have to kind of analyze that. I would tell people when it comes to emotions, you can't just look at the emotion standing in front of it. You got to lift it up and look under it. You got to walk around it. You got to fly over it. You know what I mean? You got to become water and fucking be fluid with this, because, and then you have to learn how to love in a Scorpio way. You have to learn how to stay grounded in a Taurus way. You actually have access to every zodiacal sign and more. I don't know if that makes sense, because it's so much information. But the main thing to remember is that this is not real. And it's kind of hard because I hate to tell people the main thing that you got to learn to do, and I have a problem with this myself, is learn how to control your emotions. And I've noticed that, like, you know, just looking back on retrospect, like, wow, this person said that and I thought they meant that, but they really didn't mean that. You can't even do that until you go and you look back at it. You walk on water, because when you know that about yourself, you can then stand in that moment and analyze the situation. That takes time. That takes practice. That takes a skill called mindfulness. And I learned that skill by studying psychology and therapy. And I think that's a big problem in a lot of communities of color, because we're not taught how to really solve problems in a way that is beneficial to us, our soul, our bodies. You know what I mean? Somebody hurts us, we about to go get a 40. We about to go get some weed. We might go get worse. We might go do worse. Somebody hurt me, I'm about to go hurt somebody. We don't say, let me take a walk and work through these emotions and let them hit every chakra, which is Lilith energy. Okay, because when you hear Lilith, you already the dark whore, the slut, the devil's wife. It's like, nah, that's not what that was. So you thinking in human terms again. You're not looking at it from a metaphysical standpoint. The first child that you ever give birth to is a thought form. So when they say that they're allowed to kill 1,000 of her children a day, they talking about light angels, thought forms, not real babies or demons or whatever they want you to think. Like, people need to go realize that this information has been so distorted that is damn near useless in the way in which they want you to learn it and utilize it. That's why a lot of people are still suffering. That's why you're praying every day and you're not getting any relief. That's what made me start to go outside of Christianity. I was going through so many hellish states. I was so depressed. I was like, yo, I'm praying every day, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. I know my Bible from right to left. Look at all these highlighted pages. What's up, God? Why have thou forsaken me? Which he never did. It, source, whatever it was, it never did. You know what I mean? It was like, I gave you the keys to the palace, but I can't open the door for you.
Wow. That's powerful, Dave. Let me ask you this, and because do you believe that your making music is a creative outlet for you? Do you feel that we need to create things to have an outlet? You know what I'm saying? Like us as people, you know what I'm saying? Is that something that's in us? Because if we take a look at everything and everybody, man, I've listened to 1,000 lectures, you know what I'm saying? And one thing that they have in common is they always refer to entertainment. You know, what is it about entertainment that attracts us, you know? And what's interesting is because I was watching Remember the Times, right? I showed my wife the video the other day, and I was just, you know, I used to love this video as a kid. You know, I love Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? But just the beginning part,
Michael Jackson.
Man, Michael Jackson was that deal. But just the beginning part of the video, I never understood until I just recently watched it. And what was interesting is that the pharaoh and the queen was sitting in their thrones, and then she said to Eddie Murphy, who was playing Pharaoh Ramsey, she said, "Entertain me. I'm bored. How can my pharaoh entertain me?" What is it about entertainment that is key or is necessary for us? Because it's always around. I've heard Panic talk about certain celebrities, Bobby talk about certain celebrities, Phil talk about certain celebrities, Brother Rich's channel. Everybody talks about celebrities. They relate it to celebrities.
You are essentially talking about a muse. Have you ever heard?
Let's go. What is it about this muse? I've heard about the term. Break it down for me.
What it is something that actually is able to spark creativity in you. And, you know, it's funny because look how entertainment has evolved. At the beginning of the
Hold on, Day. You went out.
something where we actually, let me see. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yep.
Let me just try to stand here. Okay, so, you know, a muse is something that really gives us inspiration. Back in the day, a muse would have been a flower or things like that, what they looked at as entertainment, you know, and even if you go back to like court days, they always had a gesture and things like that. I believe that me personally, I always have to be creating something. I always have to be creating something. I do feel like we do need to be creating things. What I think it is, and I know that this doesn't really tie into it, but I think we need a source because, you know, a lot of people don't understand why we actually dealt with hieroglyphics. And I know this might not sound like it ties in, but they were able to look at the pictures and the pictures automatically process the subconscious mind. I always tell people that we do have a modern day version of hieroglyphics. We watch it on TV and we call it television, and we watch TV shows, and that shit hits your subconscious way quicker than it hits your conscious. And you know, it's just that the hieroglyphs talks now because those are actors and actresses. You know what I mean? What they're doing right there is not how they necessarily might interact with you if they wasn't on TV. That's why people get their heart broke when they meet their celebrity, their favorite celebrity in real life. And so I mean that to say is I think that we need entertainment because that is a way in which our subconscious is almost sparked up like a lightning bolt to be able to hit. That's why I always tell people do sigil work before anything. And it's funny because we call it entertainment, but you got to look at the breakdown of that word, enter. So something's entering, and then tain as in containing it. But where? Where, you know what I'm saying? Where are you containing it? And so, you know, I don't know if that makes sense because I actually, that's a question that actually kind of stopped me, but I really do.
That's perfect.
I really
that's perfect.
feel like that's what that's about. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel like they use this shit to get at us. That's why they do have shows like Love and Hip Hop and things like that. It hits you as a hieroglyphic that speaks because you get the visual, but now you get something to hit your conscious all at once. You used to have to look at a picture, and the picture is the sigil. And the sigil goes to your subconscious and it tells your subconscious something. Just like you look at a hieroglyphic, it's telling your subconscious a whole sentence. It's telling you a whole book. That's why people don't understand what cuneiform and all these things were and why they wrote like that. And why I always talk about sigils. I always tell people that's the quickest way to actually reprogram your mind. It's through your writing out a sigil. Now I want to be great. I am a great person. I'm going to change my life. Make the sigil. That don't got shit to do with witchcraft. And even if it did, you got a sigil on right now. You got on them FUBU pants. Did you just eat McDonald's and Wendy's? How do you think that it got into your mind to want Wendy's? Because you see the Wendy's sigil and it makes you hungry. It's the same thing with the creativity. And you know what's unfortunate about that? Because I've noticed this. You got kids. When we was kids, you had to make our asses come in the house. I got to rip my kids away from the pad. I have to rip them away and make them go play on this $3,000 swing set outside. And I also noticed that their creativity level is not where it should have been. And I noticed that early, and thank God, because I'm able to spend that time with my children. But a lot of women are working women now, and they don't get to notice it. So what I noticed about my son, one day I was like, yo, let's play. He's like, well, how are we going to do that? I'm like, well, we're going to use our imagination. And he was like, well, what do you mean use your imagination? I'm like, look at that water right there. Don't you see it? You know, like, and I was telling him, like, don't get your feet wet. There obviously was no water there. But I noticed that I had to actually pull him into starting to use it. Because the more that they're on these pads with these fake sigils and all of this going on, they're losing their ability to be creative. They're losing that. And I think that's why we see so much cookie cutting. I feel bad for the Instagram models that all look the same with them hard ass hips and them bubble ass butts. Right. Look, I got a 1990 white girl ass and I'm not ashamed. It do what it need to do. But the whole thing is when you look at it, it's cookie cut. Look at spirituality, cookie cut. Look at these women, cookie cut. Look at the thugs. It's almost like a fucking manual they got. Okay, here's your thug manual. Here's your
Mm-hmm.
gun. Here's your bad attitude. Okay, here's your bag of weed. Here's your product. Here's your plug. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to spirituality, like, you know, niggas can't even get creative with it no more. Matter of fact, they snitch on their own self. They get on Facebook and go do a robbery. I can't get down with this generation. I can't.
Oh, that's so funny.
This generation, they don't even have creativity no more. And I think it's due to how much actual magic through not only the spell, like when I tell people you don't even speak English, they look at me like I'm crazy. And then I go to the internet, type in, is English high German? And then they look it up and they be like, oh my God, well then why do they tell us we talk English if we don't talk English? And I was like, and I say, well, oh my God, how do I know this and you don't? Because then nobody come and tell me that. It was through my own research. And that was sparked to me by Dr. Henrik Clark. When I found out he was a professor and he was like, yo, I was teaching classes and I didn't even have a degree. I went back to school and got my degree after I taught out of college for 4 years. I went and lived at the library for like 3 years. I'm not even gonna lie. I had a library card to even the hospital. Most people don't even know you can get a library card to the hospital. And they'd be like, well, what do you need? I say, there's books there that you can't get at the library.
Wow.
But I'm not coming to you like, yo, a car advocate. Yo, man, this is why you're not manifesting. Then I tell you to read this book. Then I tell you to take this class, nigga. You don't meditate every day? Nah, that's not how this works. Like if you came to me and said, I'm having an issue with this, but as far as me to tell you, this is how you're going to get your enlightenment, I could give you suggestions. But the way that I do it, when my clients come to me, and I have a lot of satisfied clients. I have so many satisfied clients, I haven't even started trying to get reads off YouTube yet. Because I actually go to the psychic fair. And then when I get clients, they're so satisfied, they go tell other people. I actually started a soap line like 4 weeks ago. And I was like, yo, am I going to be able to sell these soaps? They're actually like organic and I charge them with a healing frequency. They damn near sold out before I haven't even posted a picture of them on Instagram yet. I haven't tried, you know, and I mean that to say is like, yo, I'm aligning with abundance. And that's odd because I have like 300 subscribers. You know what I'm saying? I have like, you know, I don't get that many views. So when I first came to YouTube and I opened my page and I seen these people doing these big things, I was like, wow, I want to be just like that. And Spirit was like, no, you don't, because this is your lane and you're actually better. You don't need 10,000 subscribers to validate you. You don't need to be co-signed by A, B, and C to know that you're doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it. Because the truth is even if you only reach one person, that was your goal. To reach that one person, not millions or hundreds. We all want that, and yeah, that would be nice. Who doesn't like fucking fame and notoriety? Niggas be lying. They get on here and be like, I don't want it, and then bitch you out for an hour because you ain't fucking go sign up for their class. That shit is old. That shit is dumb as ass. I'm gonna tell you straight up to your face. I still might fuck with you, but if you're not doing it right, like yo, nah, that's not how you really should be getting down. And that's to nobody in particular. I know friends who even have private classes. I'm not trying to knock nobody, but you know, you have people who come on here all the time and be like, yo, I'm not doing it for that, bro. I'm doing it for this. I'm doing it for that. But if you actually listen to what the fuck they saying, not what they want you to think they saying, but what they saying, they actually doing it for everything. That if you gotta fucking listen. I told people they don't really know how to break down what people are saying. I tell people all the time, people get mad when I be like, yo, I'm a psychic. They don't feel comfortable with that term, especially other psychics. I've learned that. They don't like calling themselves, well, the real ones do. The fake ones don't. They don't like calling themselves psychics because they might get a client one day and they might give a client a read. And the client says, everything you just said to me was wrong. And that makes them feel some kind of way about their gift. That shit don't faze me. Well, first of all, it's never happened. It's never happened, but I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I'm saying that doesn't faze me. That don't knock me off my square, because what I've learned by doing this is that you can give a client a read and they'll tell you everything's wrong that day and come back to you the next day and be like, oh, I thought about you, was absolutely right. And I say, I know I'm right because I don't question the energy. I don't question it. When I was first on my journey, that's what actually was my limitation. I'd be like, well, I'm going to tell you this, and does this resonate with you? I don't even do that shit no more. I don't give a fuck if this resonates with you. This is what it is. You can like it or whatever. You know what I mean? It don't gotta resonate with you, but you came to me for a service and this is what it is. So I learned that when I would say something like, does this resonate with you? I'm automatically putting a limitation or a restriction on myself, and I'm giving them a door to use it. And they came to me to give them guidance. Why am I asking you, do this resonate with you? You came to me for advice and guidance, and you said this was the issue, and I'm gonna tell you this is how it works. Whenever I also get a client, when they come to me, I let them know this is not Hollywood. This is not that Kevin Bacon movie where I'm about to see a dead chick walk through the other room and she has long hair and there's water coming out her mouth. This is not all of that. Now, does it work something like that? Yeah, but it's not that. So don't have those expectations. That's another, like, people get tripped up, see, because they're coming in on some fake shit. You know what I mean? They're coming in on you're gonna have to agree with everything I say. You're gonna have to, this all has to resonate with you. Nah, some of this shit you ain't gonna like I'm about to say. Like, a lot of people, I noticed another thing, being a reader, a lot of people come to you, they don't actually want the truth. They want you to tell them what they want to hear. And that's how a lot of people make their money. Like, if you come to me and you just a female and you be like, yo, I can't find love. And I'd be like, okay, well, what's going on? Well, I dated this nigga, and then I dated that nigga, and then I dated this nigga. And I'd be like, yo, well, you need to date your fucking self. and you need to balance yourself. Like, for real. Like, this has nothing to do with what you're just pulling in what you're attracting. And you're pulling it from your inside because you're completely unbalanced. And because you should, like, it's like women are afraid to tell other women, you don't got to go fuck a nigga just because you got out this relationship. Woo. Just because you lonely, you don't got to do that, because you're not even giving yourself time to heal. And stop having unprotected sex with all these niggas, because every time you do that, there's semen that's stored in your head. And you're doing sexually transmitted demons. You're sharing an aura. It's more than just sex. You're dealing with portals. You know what I mean? All of this stuff. Nobody wants to talk about, because it's a hard conversation, because people aren't adults to really analyze what's affecting me. Why am I perverted? There's some niggas who can't stop masturbating. I've had clients like that. And then they come to me and I say, okay, you might have a problem with this or that, and you can't stop, and it's affecting your relationship in extremely negative ways. And the first thing I ask them is, when you do it, it don't even make you feel better. Do it. And they go, no. How do you know? It's like, I can't control it. It don't make me feel better. And I say, because you're dealing with a power outside of yourself that's actually a weaker power. It presents itself to you as a power, but it actually folds in on itself because it's vampiric and is making you feed under a false pretense. And it's actually meant to. So that's, for example, I could be a woman in a relationship. I could have the perfect life, but I need a little something extra on the side. So this energy makes me think I'm going to be powerful. I go get over on my nigga and go fuck this dude, and he don't know about it. But then eventually I get sprung out on the side piece, and I end up destroying my family. And then I don't have the side piece. See, that's what you call energy that folds in on itself. That energy knew that was the outcome when it came to you. And it knew that because it's eating. People don't understand eating. And they always, like, even somebody came in and is like, yo, I don't get that video when you're talking about the chicken and evil. And I said, well, you can raise a chicken from a bird. And the chicken can think that you're God because you're all it knows. It's the first thing you've seen when it came out the womb. You raised it, you feed it, you water it. It knows that's all it knows, and that you're nice to it, and that it can't live without you. And then it has an egg, and it's waiting for its baby, but you're hungry, so you pick up the egg and you eat it. And the chicken's looking at you like, you evil motherfucker. Like, yo, this is God. God just ate my egg. That's the devil. That's not God. That's the devil. When you're just hungry and you eating, and the chicken don't understand that you got to eat to survive. We don't understand this energy eats to survive. We go, oh, that's evil. Nah, it was evil for you to allow yourself to be influenced. Nobody takes responsibility for their own shit either. We gotta stand, like, yo, if I go out in the streets and I'm doing some wild shit, nigga, I'm high on PCP, I'm doing mad shit, it's a chance I might not come home tonight. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but you gotta factor that shit into the equation.
Yes, you gotta acknowledge it. Yes.
Nobody even wants to acknowledge it. Therefore, it's flawed from the giddy up. I'm a Taurus. I gotta look at the foundation. I'm a builder. I'm not building that shit if it don't look right.
Exactly. Well, you know, that's what I speak upon is that accountability. So, you know, you saying a lot of powerful information. This was fire. This was fire. I love your breakdown of entertainment, coming in, tainting it. But where is it tainted at? You know what I'm saying? The mental, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You fucking storing it in your fucking mental. You're storing it in your mental. That was a wonderful breakdown, man. You said some powerful information, and I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your soul. You know what I'm saying? And I always have, and that's why I fuck with you. hard body karate. You know what I'm saying? But before I let you go, because you've said some wonderful information that I think myself and a lot of other people can resonate with, and a lot of females, I believe they are going to resonate with this as well. You know what I'm saying? So I love it. So before I let you go, tell them where they can find you at Daymoon. You know what I'm saying? I've been sub to your channel. I love it. I love your music, hypnosis at its finest. Tell them about the projects you got coming up, and tell them about everything.
You be spiritual and you do music, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, the vibration levels. So a lot of people, that's why, you know, so everybody, but they can find me across all platforms at NRG Daymoon. I am a tarot reader. You know, I do music. I'm willing to help people though, even if they can't necessarily afford services, but I'm not going to let anybody take advantage of me and just hit me up for all their personal questions. Because what people got to understand when it comes to spirituality, I noticed this with a lot of readers too. I used to actually not charge. I probably did 1,000 reads before I charged for my first read. And then when a person gave me the money, I gave it back to them. They were like, no, you're taking this. Like, I noticed a lot of readers go through that. And because we're pulling in an imprint from the Bible, like if you have a service, you need to just give it to people, especially if it can help them. And that's true. So I will never turn nobody away. However, as above, so below. Bank here, bank there. You can't just give and never put in any deposits. It doesn't matter. It's a currency exchange. I had to learn that, and it's still hard for me to balance that. But I'm always available for anybody who's struggling or may have questions. I just don't want it to get too, you know, where they hit you up all the time. I have a couple people like that. And it's like, sometimes I'm too nice with my Gemini. I care about how it looks. I just want to help everybody. But that so much out of your bank, you'll end up spiritually bankrupt.
Dang. Okay. So where can they find you? You got an IG, your YouTube?
Yeah, my IG is NRG Daymoon. My YouTube is NRG Daymoon. My Facebook is NRG Daymoon. I actually just created that Facebook 3 days ago, and I don't like it. I ain't been on Facebook in a long time. I actually had to open it for music purposes and promotional purposes. So I think I even did it wrong. I thought you just friended everybody who sent your request. I'm like, yo, this is some toxic. That's that Ouija board we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
So what projects do you got coming up? I mean, tell them. I know Ill Minds, the video is popping. That's hard right there. So what projects do you got coming up?
Yo, right now, I think my favorite project, which is off the books, is my Wu-Tang Triumph. Okay, because I'm feeling very, I'm poking my chest out right now like the head gorilla. But I'm also gonna be working on a project that should be getting picked up by Universal, which is this song called Wild Styles. But I'm really about to stop doing music. This is actually my last go at it. So when it comes to musical projects, I'm gonna do a couple more projects, and then I don't know, you can't never say never, but I'm planning on just getting more into my spirituality. Like, I started doing tarot reads. I really want to start teaching esoteric classes, not even teaching, but just going on and doing kind of like what you do, but like, you know, like the Daymoon view, you do the Soulinary, that kind of thing. I really want to get more into my spirituality. Honestly, right now.
But you know what? I would tell you this, that I think that's a dope concept, and I think you should do that. What I would tell you this, and you know, from my advice is because, you know, I do music too. And that's why I was telling you before, man, I do music for an outlet, and don't ever stop. You don't have to.
I wanted to tell you, I hope you don't mind. I let some people listen to your music and they were like, what? I actually let like my manager, some music executives, and the music exec was like, yo, that's radio ready. What's up? You know, because I have a lot of contacts, and I was like, well, you know, we'll talk about that behind closed doors.
We'll talk about that. But what I want to tell you, Daymoon, is don't ever stop. I don't do it to try to get a deal, or I don't try to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I do it because I love to do it, and it's an outlet for me. Just like I do this YouTube channel, it's an outlet for me. I really don't think that I'm going to be a big ass YouTube star, and that's not my goal. That's not my intent. My intent is to do this with people like you, to understand and learn from people like you, man. That's why I do the soul views. I learn so much from my soul views, from Kenny, from Q to you, and from whoever's going to be, you know, that's going to come to me that I need to connect with. I'm connecting with people that I need to connect with, and you're one of those people. So I appreciate you. I really do. And I'm saying, don't ever stop making the music.
Okay.
Fuck that. Don't ever stop making the music. You just have the right intent behind it. Just do it for your creativity. Do it for your creation, but don't ever stop.
Oh, that actually did make it.
Don't stop it.
Right.
You're good. You're good at it. Don't stop it. Fuck that. Don't stop it.
Say that. The first time I actually was paid to ghostwrite a song, and it was for a big name advertising company, and I wrote this song called "Touch Me," and it was the first time I ever had creative writer's block because it was really just something that I wasn't passionate about. But can I just say before you end this that honestly, I told you before, and I know you hate when I say this, but I don't care. I'm gonna say it anyway. You're a master teacher, and I tell you this why. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why you're a master teacher in my eyes because of how you've helped me. I've come around across so many teachers. There's a way in which you go about it, and you're adding something new to the process. But not to speak too much on this, but honestly, you helped me move past a lot of trauma with that upload tribute to your grandmother, and I'm gonna leave it at that. The awakening that I had with that, and I gotta breathe because I don't want to have a fucking breakdown my damn self, but it helped me break through many traumas, but especially that. So you know, that's how I'm able to identify. So I hope that you take what I say. If you do think that I'm really tapped in, you got to know I can see waves of patterns, and I think that's what people think, you know, makes you a psychic. You can't see where you're going to be in the future, but I'm telling you, you've helped me tremendously even grow. So
well, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. And I know you mean that, and I know you are tapped in. And it's just the thing for me, man, is that I feel like I am going to be a master of myself. I am the master. But as far as a master teacher, I don't want that title. You know what I'm saying? I don't want
you
that
want that
title.
label.
Yeah, I don't want that label
That
because
title.
it's a lot that comes with that, and I don't want it. I don't care for it. They done it already. My thing is,
You
if I could
already got
become
it.
right, but if I could become Bruce Leroy, that's who I am. I'm the master, and I'm the master of myself, and then I can master my wife and my family. Dog, I'm good. I don't need anything else.
That's gonna make you get right, and I feel like as well with me, that's what helps me get in my lane, in my zone. So you got that exactly right.
And we're doing it right. That's what I'm saying, Daymoon. We're doing it right, and I fuck with you. And you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate this, and I appreciate the information that you gave today. It was very, very powerful. You know what I'm saying? Very powerful. So this is fire, and I appreciate you, man. And we're gonna continue to build and continue to do your thing, man. I got much love for you and much success for you.
The video dropping in about 10 to 15 days, so look out for that.
Yes. Okay. All right. Cool. We're gonna do that. And like I said, man, I appreciate you and much love and much success to you. Okay.
You too. You as well.
All right. This is another episode of Soulview, y'all. Peace.
Bye.